Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Chaffetz.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. I've known Lisa for so long, and I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all that you do, and it's kind of fun being from Stuart, President Adams. How many years is it? 14 years, number one? Yeah, he told me I had to mention that. So, but we really do appreciate what you do and how you do it, because I tell you, the future of our country is so it's so imperative. And where the rubber really hits the road is what you're doing and how you're doing it. You know, it's very kind of you to invite somebody who is a former member of Congress, because, you know, Will Rogers, I think, is the one that said the opposite of progress is Congress. And we go out and prove that every day. Now, there's some good people. You heard Governor Ron DeSantis. He used to be on I was the chairman of the Oversight Committee. Ron was pretty good as a subcommittee chairman, but holy cow, he's a great governor. And I don't know if Doug Collins is here, but just a wonderful, heartfelt person, and love that he's so involved and engaged with what you're doing. You know, there's always change in the air. I remember our son, Max. Max is now graduated with his law degree from the University of Virginia. But I remember when he was a little kid, and he was at Grandma's house, and he came running around the corner one day, and he said, Mom, look at this great big CD. It was a record. He just grew up in a different time. It was a totally different experience. I remember, I should have put up the graphic, but you've probably seen this meme out there. This is a great one. It's Howard Cosell, and on one side of him is O.J. Simpson, and on the other side of him is Bruce Jenner. And it says, things are about to get real interesting around here. And if Howard just knew what was going on there. I think the message that I've been able to, very blessed, having spent 8.5 years in Congress, and then with my time as a Fox News contributor, and as I've traveled around the country, part of what I wanted to share is that why do we do what we do? And I think there's time and a place to actually look and reflect in the mirror and say, why do you do what you do? And there's a great policy conference, right? We're always talking about good ideas and moving the country forward and how you can make that happen in your state. But I think it's also a time to reflect and sit back and say, why do we do what we do? You know, we see a lot on Facebook and Twitter and social media, and that's great. I play there too, and I try to come up with like quippy little, 140 characters, and there's a zinger there, and we fight about the suppression and whatnot happens online. But you know what? At the end of the day, the way we're all collectively really effective is when we talk from our hearts and we explain to people why we believe what we believe. You know, we get lost in this clutter that's constantly out there. I'm on Fox News. I'll be guest hosting for Shaw tonight. We'll be talking about weighty issues, 6 minutes ahead of time. But if you're really going to go out and affect people and change it to a good idea, to an actual movement, that happens with people's hearts and minds. That happens by understanding why we believe what we believe. You know, growing up, I went through some horrific things. I grew up in an affluent Northern California neighborhood, lived in Southern California, lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, moved to Colorado. People didn't know that through that time my parents had gotten divorced, that later my mom was diagnosed with cancer, a disease that took her life some 26 years ago now, or close to 30 years ago now. They didn't know that my dad overextended himself and had to file for bankruptcy, and we went from living in this palatial house to literally a one-bedroom condo where my brother and I were sleeping on the ground, sometimes with an air mattress, working during the day and then giving that check to dad just so he could pay the basic mortgage, or the rent, I should say, on this place. You would never know about that. You'd look at me, you'd never know. I guess part of the story here is that things are going to happen. Every one of us has this story. Every person that you represent, every state that you represent, every neighborhood, they've all got issues. It can be a car accident. It can be a swimming accident. It can be drug addiction. It can be a car crash that you weren't expecting. It could be cancer. I guess I'm sort of tired of being pegged as a group of people who don't care, that somehow we cede the compassion card to somebody else because we take a particular policy position. I guess in the short time that I have here, one of the things I'd like to encourage you to do is remember the words of Margaret Thatcher. I love studying and listening and understanding how Margaret Thatcher tackled her difficult situation as a young MP there. And she made this great synopsis, and she said, you know what? First, you got to win the argument, then you can go win the vote. And that's true. I think we have to do as a nation, as a community, as a Congress, as a state legislature, as a city council. Why do we believe what we believe, and why are we advocating for what we're advocating? If you speak from your heart and you share from your heart and show that compassion and listen to what people are truly telling you, then I think we'll be better human beings, we'll be a better country, we'll be better legislators, we'll be better everything. We'll just be better people. Now, we got a fight on our hands. I don't care where you think you are in the political spectrum, but the heart and soul of this generation and this country. I got to speak a lot and went to a high school here in Utah, and it gets, I think, probably the hardest questions I got were from high school students. And they were throwing me questions, peppering me with questions genuine from their heart. Why does this matter? Why should I believe that? I don't care how much you spend. How does that affect me? Why do we believe what we believe? So that's the message that I want to share here with you. I have the greatest admiration. I was joking with President Adams here that, this idea that Utah's in a 45-day session, that never ends up being true. I can tell you what, I cannot thank you enough for pouring your hearts and your soul and your passion behind what you do. And I just hope that we as a nation and you as legislators can do what you do and speak from your heart and transform this country. Not just to the older generation, but remember that younger generation. You're about to hear from a wonderful speaker who stepped up, saw a challenge, decided to take a different trajectory, and to go out and actually speak out and be a voice. Those voices are out there. They need to be heard, and they need to be elevated. And they need to be reminded to the people that we love and care about. So it's very kind of you. We're thrilled that you're here in Utah. We absolutely are so proud of this country. It's a very patriotic state. I rolled into this town back in 1985, nothing more than my little two-door Honda CRX. I got a football scholarship, kicked footballs down at BYU. Didn't know a single person in this state. And this community opened its arms, welcomed me. I have my family here. Cannot thank them enough. So thank you for visiting us, and thank you so much to Alec for what you do and how you do it, and especially to my friend Lisa. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you.